Welcome everyone. This is Norman Kochnick here in Australia, and I'm watching, as we all are, the England batting performance. Quite impressive indeed. There's some 7 for 408 after India only scored 78. So this is a hell of a situation for England to be in after only 2 days. They're 330 in front. There's still 3 wickets down to go. Curran on 10, Overton 14, Overton 14 very, very quickly. The reality is that England have continued on after their previous night have been done for 120 and have put on a good 288 today for 7 wickets, which is quite reasonable under the circumstances, and not very reasonable from India's perspective. I wouldn't say that you wouldn't say that India have played that badly today, but again, Joe Root, yet another century. Any chance to win for India? Harsh. I'm very sorry to say that I think that's extremely unlikely. Why England players wore black armbands? Is it because of Charlie Watts dying, the Rolling Stones drummer? No, it was because of Ted Dexter, who died at the age of 86, who captained England and played a number of tests. I think he was 62, if I'm not wrong. He got some 4,700 runs, and he also took a number of wickets. So I think he scored 9 centuries. So Ted Dexter was well respected. So it's because of Ted Dexter, former England captain. Actually, was a chairman of selectors at one stage as well. Yeah, Joe Root certainly has played well. Waiting for you to come on live, and you did much better today. Payman Golson, I'm just about on time. It's 3 o'clock, so it's about 8 minutes late. The game's still going on. Of course, England are 7 for 408 after 125.1 overs. Leader 330, Overton 14, Curran 10, and Jadeja's bowled quite well today. Sharma bowled quite well. Ishan Sharma's been very ineffective. How can India win? I don't think they're going to win. Unless it rains torrentially for a number of days, I can't see them winning at all. Suraj is still coming in and bowling as best as he possibly could. You've got to give it to him. He's tried his best. Sam Curran's had a good day, well, certainly with the ball yesterday, and bat today he's done well. So Burns 61, Hamid 68, Milan batted very well too. He got 70. Root 121, again magnificent. Bairstow 29, Butler 7, Ali 8. Curran and Overton are in, and they're batting quite okay. And there is Sam Curran going for a big explosive shot. And he's got away with it. It's not a great situation for either side to be in. Well, I shouldn't say either side, certainly for any to be in. But look, they can lose this match, as they probably will do, and hold their head up high because they're 1-all in a 5-match series. They've still got 2 tests to go. They're in great shape to be able to still win another test match and possibly another one. They're going to with a great chance, even though their performance today was not good. Well, today was okay. It was yesterday when everything went astray, and it's clear that the pitch is now softened. There'll be a very good batting pitch. It's only the first session or 2 yesterday where there was a lot more movement. Today it's been rather flat, but England applied themselves. Root getting his 23rd century, equal to Kevin Peterson, only behind Cook with 33 test centuries in the England makeup anyway. Tia Status, hey, how are you? For the next test, they should drop Ishan and Pujara. Well, Ishan Sharma will be, I would imagine, replaced by potentially even Ashwin, if they decide to keep Jadeja, that is, or Thakur. Pujara, well, let's just see how he bats in the second innings. If he fails again, you could see a change. You could. Yeah, so it certainly isn't a good situation to be in. But look, things could be a lot worse. They could have lost the first and or second test and be 2 tests now, but they're effectively 1-1, which, you know, that's important to remember. Will you have any guest over on this stream? Yes, I certainly will, Aaron. I'm waiting for Chris Vernon, who's confirmed that he'll be here. He'll be here after the match finishes. And May will get a number, and I think Naresh Manaskani is also coming on. Next match, India, please don't win the toss and elect batting up bowling on the same dial. That's true. It's a bit of sarcasm, but it's kind of a way of looking at it. Maybe I should have put that on as a thumbnail, you reckon, guys? Is that what you're saying to me? Yeah, so Joe Root's batting performances this series have been 64, 109, 180, 33, and 121, which is pretty remarkable, to say the least. Ishan Sharma now none for 80 after 20 overs, 4 and over, which is not an extreme run rate off his bowling, but it certainly isn't impressive either. You know, I don't think he's exactly put the world on fire. So set the world on fire with his bowling, yes. England are 411 for 7 after 126 overs, a lead by 333, which is, you would argue, more than enough. More than enough. I'm just posting something. Tulip Mendes, who played for Sri Lanka. Overton looks very solid in the way he bats as well, actually. It's quite impressive. So, looking very handsome, Norman. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking a bit younger, aren't I? No, it's actually my Norman's son. No, that's not true. Mr. Blues, India's strategy would be bat for 2 days, maybe aim for a total close to 500, 550. Well, that's what they should be aiming for, absolutely. And then at least they could give India the chance to bat, England the bat chance a second time. That's what they should be looking for. You're right. So, yeah, that's a pretty ordinary day for India, but you would argue, you know, England have just played better cricket. They've set the match up very well, and Overton and Curran are still batting well. They're 3-3-4. Ishan Sharma really can't take a trick at the moment. I think he needs to be considered a bowler, almost like a leg spinner there, and it's just been smashed away. Overton looks pretty good with the bat, doesn't he? Well, Mr. Liz, Chris Vernon is coming on. He's been very busy. He's been coaching all summer, and he's had a few other things that he's been up to, but he'll be here very shortly. Don't worry. Loved your friend Munchie's analysis on your show too. Well, Munchie's here. Ted Dexter passed away. Yes, Munchie. We know. I actually talked about that with Saturday. Ted Dexter, who died at the age of 86. I think I mentioned it earlier. That's why the black armband is there. That's correct. I've mentioned it before. There was no way England would lose this. If India managed to draw it, that will be not less than a win. Yeah, I'd agree. India's batting is brittle in nature. I guess India will be all out for 200 or less. Well, let's hope not. But yeah, that's I did too. Yes, it's a rather unfortunate day for India, but England have just played better. And look, in that bottom line, if they actually, SCG replay all over again, well, let's you never know. India could, if India, they've got a lot of, well, they're going to have to bat for, what is it, firstly, 3 days, or at least 2 days, day 3 and day 4. And you would argue it's not impossible, but it's unlikely. England will win this match. And that's okay if they do, because it just means one all, guys. Pratyush Ray, how are you? Mr. Blues, you may have jinxed it. Let's hope not. Why did bowlers unable to swing the ball like Jamie? Good question. Good question. I think there's something not. Ishan Sharma was looking very much out of sorts with the way he's holding the ball. I don't know what's going on there. It's almost twisting around. It's not his normal bowling, actually. I think he's improvising as much as he can. Joe Root must be very, very, very happy, having scored 3 centuries in his last 3 centuries and a 50 in his last four his last 5 innings. He's had 3 centuries and a 50. And one the other innings that he missed out, he ended up getting 33, which is by no means bad. He must be very happy with himself. He's equal to 23 centuries of Kevin Peterson. He only has Cook in front of him with 33. Can he reach that? Well, he's got enough time in his career to do that, yes. As DK put it, Joe's been the root of all problems. That's true. You look good without cap. Well, my hair's, it's a bit more together today. So look, well, Siraj is happy. He's just taken the wicket of Sam Curran. Sam Curran's attempted to pull the ball, and it's gotten right in the front. It looks like, is it Axar Patel on the field? And Siraj is happy. It's good to see. And so he's been called by Axar Patel. Is there some sort of devil in the pitch? Not really. Ishan should have been replaced by Shardul Chopra, should have walked the first legs in. Yeah, it doesn't look very promising at the moment, the way that Ishan Sharma was played at all, as a matter of fact. It's been pretty ordinary. Has he got some sort of cramp? He might have a bit of cramp there. You'd have to argue this is a... So, now, Siraj is getting... It looks like it's cramp, although he's a bit of stiffness perhaps in his upper thigh. It's more than just simply cramp by the way he's down at the moment. I don't know whether it's just cramp at this point. So I'm very lucky in the last hour of these session, my 3 hours that I was on pre-match into the match, I had a great legend commentary, Jim Maxwell, joined me for about 45 to 50 minutes, and we talked from his lounge room and my lounge room. A great chat about the match and the state of play in cricket. And it was great to listen to a man that's been on radio for 48 years plus. In fact, he's into his 49th year of radio, live commentary of all the test matches. So that's from 1973 until to 2021. Amazing. So do watch that. We can do all the post-mortem analysis we want with our hindsight. Truth is that it's a solid test team that faced some beautiful unplayable deliveries by the English pilots. Yeah, you're quite right. India have to score 600, they won't. India have to score 100, they won't. How are you, Diksha Golda? How are you? The face of the lady who, when the crowd was quite funny, she was quite startled. Yes, so Overton's on 19. Ollie Robinson's in now. Current, of course, got out to. It's saying it was Agarwal. I think that was actually Axar, but anyway, I think it was Agarwal that took the catch from Current. I don't know about that. So India have certainly got a few replacements during the day. Today's was injured. Now he looked okay. He bowled quite reasonably. So yeah, this match is going to be. The lead is now 340 on the first innings. That's it. If India get 340, I'd be pretty impressed. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So Siraj is continuing to bowl, so it must have been a form of upper thigh cramp. Siraj has taken 2 wickets for 86 off some 22 overs and hasn't bowled that badly. He's still running in there quite hard. He's still definitely got some sort of cramping in his upper thigh. Yeah, they're showing Sam Curran's pull shot, which what they're saying is Agarwal. I didn't throw it off. With Overton on 19, Robinson only faced 1 ball. Not looking good. So Root looked the most comfortable batsman in the series. He certainly has. What's your take on David Malan? He has lived up to the expectation. He said it has. Definitely. He got 70 and batted quite handsomely and looks the goods to me. What can be done at 90 overs? Or giving the 90 overs that are bowled daily. If you say it's too much, Harsh Gupta, or what are you saying? I think it's a fair assumption. They really need to get their act together and get their overs finished. There's no excuses, is there, really? Mohammad Siraj is amazingly happy, amazingly positive. I think it's now time to drop Pujara enough chances for him. Yeah, well, he's got a second innings to score a mighty big century or do something crazy, but it doesn't look like he will. Not sure how long they're going for. It's already almost 6:30 their time. I think they're going to probably only go to that time. New England's lead is 340. Enormous. Chris Venner will join us straight after the match, so he'll be here in a minute, guys. Shaz looks very much, and here we are. We have Chris on the rest, Scarley's here.
Hi, Norman.
How are you?
Nice cut. I'm good. Nice cut, Norman. Looking good.
I look younger, I hope. So
absolutely.
So we've got people talking about Pujara being dropped. They're pretty sure Agarwal may take the place of Pujara or Vihari, even I would say, even
Vihari, Surya, Sky. Yeah, there are options, but yeah, we have one more inning to go. I think what's going to be important is that it's a foregone conclusion, honestly, that England is winning this test. But how long India will fight to give them that victory is going to be important. And I think, hello. I think what's going to be important is I think Joe Root will probably bring in India to bat tomorrow morning, first session itself, because it would help his seamers. Third day probably would be the best day to bat. So it's important India bats the entire day. That's going to be important.
Well, I like the look at the moment. I'm seeing Rohit Sharma, Kohli, and Punt all having a good giggle at in the slips there. That's quite an upbeat position
Yeah.
to be in at the end of a day's play after 418 runs are on the board. You've got to give it to them. I mean, look, they look pretty happy.
Yeah,
But,
that's needed. Norman, in the end, still the series will be 1-1, right? So you need to keep that environment around and not add to any more pressure, which has already been building up because of the poor day India had yesterday. You know?
That's true. Ishan Sharma, though, has bowled terribly, and he's just gotten smacked by Overton for another 4. He hasn't looked good. He looks out of sorts. He looks like he's not himself. He looks the most ineffective of the day. He bowled that was so wide. It was a gimme.
Yeah, and Kohli backed him. He gave him the new ball first over. He gave him the first over today when the day started. I think he hasn't made use of that. His length has been very poor.
Yeah.
He's giving a lot of room outside off stump. Yeah.
Which is surprising for a man that's played as many tests as he has. He normally bowls a pretty good line of length.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look happy. And he's puffing and panting. He's really, maybe he's not at his best. Maybe he's, maybe we've seen the last of him this series. And that's not meaning he's done admirably. He's done admirably for his side.
Yeah.
I think that, how old? He must be in 34 now.
He's 32. I think he's 32. He's not running in. It doesn't look as if he's running in full pace. In his run up. What I see.
Well, if you look at his bowling action, his arm's not coming over as normal. It's not proper.
It's little side.
Yeah, a little side
on. Little side arm. Yeah, it's little side arm. He's trying to make the seam use of the seam. Yeah.
It's almost like, and he bowls these balls which are his slow ball, which are almost like a leg spin, that don't seem to be like he really bends over the ball like a leg spinner does, and it's not all that impressive. So I'm pretty sure Sky.
Last couple of deliveries for the day and two balls for the day left probably.
Yeah, I'd say they're going to finish at 6:30. Overton can bat. I'll tell you what, Overton can bat. He looks pretty solid. Maybe they need to take a leaf.
That's why he was sent. He was sent before Robinson. Yeah.
I'm in Overton.
And probably that's the reason. That's the reason he was selected before Mahmood, purely because he could bat better. After England also having that issues where they got all out 120 in the previous inning they played. But I think the top order has come good. All have got 60 plus the top 4, and Joe Root once again 100. So I think it's been so far all the way England these 2 days has been all about England.
Well, but he did it with ease. When Root came in, he did it with ease. I mean, Malama batted well and so did the openers, but Root just did it with so much ease. It's almost like it's like every day for him. And he scored 3 centuries and a 50 in his 5 innings.
I think it's the best phase of his cricketing career, I think, this year.
And double
and he's scoring fast, Norman. Yeah, he's scoring fast. He's rotating strike. He's doing very well with that. Yeah.
And look, you'd have to say the best, informed batsmen in the world would have to be Root and Williamson ahead of Kohli. I'll tell you. They're reviewing.
And what has gone well? It's got an inner edge. Yeah, it got an edge onto the pad. That's the end of the day.
Big time. Huge edge.
Yeah. What's gone well for Root? They started, I think, January. They towards Sri Lanka. He got a double and a big 100. Then they came to India. He got a double in the first test. Then 3 tests was very poor for him. And then he came back home, played against New Zealand, and now against. So he's been having cricket going on. There's not much of break, which is helping him also.
Oh, gotcha.
Compared to and like for Williamson, after the final, there's a break, right? He played 2 tests against England. Rather, he didn't play one of them. He was out from the second test.
So they've had 87 overs today. 87 overs, 303 runs, and 8 wickets. It's pretty damn good effort today, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're 8 for 423. Then it's after 129 overs. Yeah, that's 300 and what is that? It's a 345 run lead. Huge.
Yeah, but we are entering into a phase, day 3, day 4, the best to bat on. The last test 2019, we saw runs only in the third and fourth inning, the one which Ben Stokes chased. Only thing is, it's a huge lead, but how much can India bat? That is very important because India needs to carry on some confidence ahead in the series because it has so much moved in favor of England since yesterday, after the Lord's
Right.
win. So psychologically, England is on top. Hi, Manchi.
Hey, Naresh, how are you doing, sir?
Good,
Look,
good. How are
Munchie's
you?
just here, Naresh. Come on. He's here to gloat. I think that's what he's here for.
I'll be here for a few minutes. You said Chris is coming to join, so there's some things I'm trying to finish off at the moment, but I'll let Chris come on because everyone's been asking for him.
They have, and he's both phoned me and commented that he's definitely coming. So, but thanks, Munchie.
I can tell you that Reg was absolutely gutted that he missed out on Jim Maxwell this morning. Yeah, so that did make me laugh. Although your description of me. Yeah, although your description of me being a tiny fast bowler, Reg was actually just had lots of laughing emojis on the message he sent to me.
I didn't mean it that way.
I know.
I didn't know. I had to think of something quickly, and it came out of my mouth. But yeah, it was funny, Naresh. Munchie was watching. You watching at the time, and I'm there. And I get a phone call from Jim Maxwell saying, "Oh, Norman, I haven't called you back. What's up?" I said, "Come on live, sure." Jimmy Maxwell at the ripe old age of 71 in his lounge room just comes on. The Doyen, commentators after some 48 into his 49th year of commentary, comes on and does that. It was quite remarkable. It was great, wasn't it? Great, much to have him on. He was just, and he was going. He would have went longer. I think he was his wife told him, "Hey, that's enough. Come and have dinner."
Right, it's great, and as I said, well, on the comment there, I love it when he comes over. It's Jim or Brian Waddle from New Zealand or Neil Manthorpe from South Africa. They come over, they'll join the Test Match Special radio commentary, and it's just these guys know their craft. It's great. Yeah,
Jimmy Maxwell is amazing. I mean, even when we were just talking casually, I mean, he had to correct me because I said Neil Maxwell, which is quite funny because there is a Neil Maxwell. I should have said Neil Harvey, and he corrected me. But look, Jim was full of facts, full of interest. Hasn't seen the 100, but apparently he was on. What was this? He was on the. There was a thing that he was on. It's once a week with BBC and all Radio India. They get together with ABC. They do something every week. Did you hear that?
I don't know about every week, but I know he'd been on there discussing various things. They were discussing obviously the passing of Ted Dexter and the 100 and some various other things. But yeah, but no, it was great to have him on. And as I say, for those people that were on watching the show at the time, to suddenly have a phone call with Jim Maxwell saying, "What are you doing, Norman? Oh, do you want to come on? Yeah, all right then. Yeah, just someone like that. It was amazing. Yeah."
You saw that happen as
happened, yeah. It's almost there. Someone like Harsha Bogle or Sunil Gavaskar giving you a ring, saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm free. I can come on the show if you want me to." Yeah, that's the level of how big it is. For those people that don't know who Jim Maxwell is, he is that big. Yeah.
And he didn't even realise he was on for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, that made me laugh. Yeah, he was sitting there watching the cricket. Like, Jim, look at the screen. Look at the screen, Jim.
and I mean, the thing you're going to be careful. Jim's a consummate professional on and off screen, but the reality is that when you're not live, you can let a few swear words slip because you're not on camera. But he was all right. He said, he said poop. He said India batted poop or something. I think he said all right.
Yeah, no, it was good. It just at the time, it was just so good that him turning up to add his, as you say, 40 years of knowledge to it. So it was very good. Shame I couldn't come on live because I would love to have chatted with him, but obviously, lots of things to be done during the day. Yeah.
Well, now he does think of you as the tiny. I don't know. I didn't know what else to say. I came out. It slipped.
Hey, that's no worries. Yeah. No, but anyway. Today's play. There we go. Let's go on with today's play for everyone.
I mean, 8 for 423, for God's sake. With again Joe Root, another magnificent century, and we've got another person here to gloat. Chris Verner's joined us. He's here to
Hi,
gloat.
Chris.
Hey, little Reg.
Hello, everyone. Apparently, Munchie, I've heard you've been described as a tiny seamer from England.
I was just telling Norma, how much Richard was killing me on that. He just found that hysterical. Yeah.
Tiny in height, maybe, but that's probably about it.
Well, it was then, yeah.
Well, you look a bit tiny on screen, Chris, by the way. You're a million miles from the screen yet again. Get closer.
I can't get too much closer.
Well, your fans, you've got a young Sri Lankan girl called Yasundhi, who's a singer, who's very keen on you too, keeps asking where you are. It's getting out of hand.
Well, that's why I have to come. I can't come too regularly anymore. I don't want to take all the limelight off you, Norman, you see.
Oh, God. I look 10 years younger, everybody's saying. So there you go.
It's the Backstreet Boys haircut, I think.
All right, you two at the bottom. Naresh and I are going to be quiet for a minute because we're pretty shell shocked here. They're talking to Hamid post game, but what do you think of today's play, Chris?
Just England are probably slightly disappointing, really, towards the end. I would like to have seen us just absolutely hammer India into the ground. Especially with 2 more Test matches coming up quite quickly. I just think you want to keep the bowlers bowling as many overs as possible. I mean, India are going to have to change it because, India's batting lineup is woeful at the moment. That tail is just not good enough, especially when not really anyone in that top 5 is scoring many runs anyway. So they need to have a serious think. And we spoke about it before the series that no bowling or batting all-rounder is making it tough for India to get the balance right. And, without that unbelievable partnership at Lords, India have been quite lucky to be winning the series, and deservedly so. I'm not taking away from them, but Bumrah and Shami are going to be doing that once in a career, not once a series. So, but no, India just haven't been at the races. Yesterday, pretty all their batters batted poorly. I don't think anyone can put their hand up and say they batted well. And England just very good. And Headingley flattened out, and the boys showed you how to bat today. But I'd like to see England get 600. But
I agree with Chris. There were some slack shots. Moeen Ali, definitely. This was the time for people that have not got some red ball experience in Test matches, as Chris said, about a flattened track, just to sit there, knuckle down, and bat and bat and bat. Naresh was saying he'd expect Joe Root to let India bat tomorrow morning. If you were the Indian batsman and the bowlers, the last thing you want to do is to go out tomorrow and then keep bowling for another 20 or 30 overs. Whereas if England have batted properly and steadily, and as Chris said, just grounded out, England 600 in front, the game's safe. But at the same time, you've then had the Indian bowlers out in the field for 180, 200 overs, which is not going to be the case now.
Yeah.
Oh, but look, hang on a minute. You're 345 in front. You can't exactly be too critical of the England effort. They're 8 for 423. Really, the opposition scores 78. They've got everything going their way. And
Norman, when you're my size, you want your cake and eat it. Yeah.
Okay. And look, Chris and Naresh, and obviously Munchie, the batting of Joe Root, 121 today. He's got 3 centuries and a 5th in the 5 innings he's made for England in the series. Quite phenomenal, quite an incredible year. He's now equalled Kevin Peterson's 23 centuries in Test cricket, only behind Cook on 33. Everything's going his way, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just in the form of his life. I saw something on Twitter that will cheer the Indian fans up. I think since Virat Kohli last scored an international century, Joe Root scored 6 with 3 double hundreds, which just shows the
2019. Yeah, I think Virat Kohli last was 2019.
Yeah. I mean, he's just in the form of his life, and long may it continue. And he's dragging through. I mean, hopefully with Malan coming in and Hamid looked, back to hopefully, I would say that Hamid is looked to where sort of the hype surrounding where he was when he made his debut. Lords is pretty horrible for him, but he looked better. I'm just pleased that hopefully England can try and get some stability in that top order, because we said at the start of the series that the series will be decided by which team bats better, because both bowling attacks are pretty useful. It's just nice to see England fighting back and giving India a good run for the money in this series.
Absolutely. Look,
Yeah, and Norman,
Scott,
coming back to Joe Root, yeah. So this is his sixth in this calendar year. I think highest is Ricky Ponting 7, and I think Joe Root would have another four to five four test matches in this calendar year. 2 against India, and then the Ashes. I think 2 in December, and then go into Jan. So I think he may turn out to be the most. He may have most centuries in a calendar year in this. The run he's having, yeah.
Oh, he's absolutely fantastic, and really, it's commendable to the way that he's playing. It's something that you know, it just makes you wonder about the Indian batters, because Root's finding this whole situation with ease. He seems to be in complete command. Nothing's troubling him. All right.
There's just a lot of
And
Indian.
he's scoring at a good pace. He's scoring at a good pace. You know, it's really, really good the way he's rotating strike, and he's looking out for those loose deliveries to be sent to the boundary. So that is, you know, he's just taking it as soon as he comes into bat, and he's just taking it on him.
I think that you have to bear in mind that India's batting lineup isn't in great nick. You know, there's a lot of blokes there that, you know, who take out Rahul, who wouldn't even been in the side anyway, with people having been injured. Rohit's done okay in this series. No one else has put their hand up. You know, Rahane could go, Pujara could go, Kohli's not scoring any runs. Pant just looks all at sea against the ball that isn't, you know, it doesn't, when it's not flat. And I said this in the winter, said it's easy when you're scoring runs, but you start coming in and playing these shots when the ball's swinging around and getting out cheaply, you know, you look a bit silly. But this isn't even England's first choice seam attack. You know, this is probably second or third 2.5 choice attack. You know, not taking away from Curran or Overton, but, you know, I could name 4 blokes who'd be there in front of both of them. You know, Archer, Wokes, Wood, Broad. There's 4.
Ollie Stone, Jake Ball. Yeah.
So it's testament to how good England's depth are in the seam department, as India's are. But there's some worrying things in that Indian top order that they've been there for a while. You know, even against England in India, you wouldn't say that anyone batted very well. But, you know, Rohit got 100 and Pant got some runs. But there's definitely some stability issues there as well, similar to England. So both sides need to work out how to iron that out.
Yeah, Norman, I did say that I'll be on until Chris comes, so I've got to say goodbye to everyone. Enjoy the show. I'm still going to listen, but I want to crack on with some other things. So, okay. Catch you soon, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Munchie. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Munchie. Thanks a lot, Munchie. I really appreciate that. Munchie came in. He saw you not coming on, Chris. He was just trying to cover for you, I think. No, it's good to have Munchie on there, Chris. And Chris, do you think that this is going to lead to a momentum shift to England for the rest of the series, or do you think it could be a completely different matter next Test match?
Oh, I think that it could do. You know, I think that you know, if you look at the series so far, you know, India probably would have edged the first one. I think that is probably fair. Barring a mad afternoon at Lords, England were on top for 3.5 days of that 4. You know, I know India had a good first day, but England were on top for the next 3. So it's not like one side has completely dominated the series. You know, it has been fairly even. I've said this. I think that if India do lose this Test match poorly, I think that England could, you know, especially with some confidence in that top order batting wise, I think that England could then go on to win the series. Just because India's batting is a problem, and they have been exposed. And the Oval next might be a bit flatter. I imagine that Ishan Sharma will probably get dropped out, and they'll probably play Asher and play 2 spinners at the Oval and Old Trafford. But yeah, it's just good to see yesterday. Just nice to see a comeback, especially when Kohli wins the toss. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that Norman. Norman probably still thinks that Jimmy Anderson should retire, right? You know, he's way past it.
He's
still the best in the world.
Hang on. I never said that. I said he should retire on top, and that was always what I said, and I meant that quite sincerely.
The problem is that he's going to take another. Say he takes another 30 wickets this year, which is, you know, he's got 2.5 more tests here, and then 2 more tests in this year before Christmas. So 4.5 tests. He could easily take 25 wickets. I think that's a fairly reasonable. So that's going to take him to about 650. He's then going to have 2. I think whoever's over here next summer, you know, he might take 30 or 40 wickets in the Ashes and the West Indies, and then here he's going to be very close to Shane Warne. You know, he's going to be within 20 or 30 wickets of Warne, and with him bowling the way he is at the moment, you know, he's fit. You know, he hasn't bowled any overs this week. You think that he might just keep going?
Yeah. Look.
Yeah, he was used only for first spell yesterday, just 8
Yeah.
overs. You know, he took the top 3 wickets. Yeah, he was not required to bowl any other spell. So.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt that he's going to. Well, he's the best bowler as far as fast bowling in the world ever. He's ranked 3rd in the world now, and could well go to 2nd. But it's not about that necessarily. It's the way he's kept his bowl in a consistent manner, which is really impressing everybody. And I think it was Mike Atherton explained his deliveries. The way he holds the ball is so difficult to pick, because what you would pick as a traditional outswinger with his hand cocked actually doesn't come out that way, ends up coming into the bat. It's quite remarkable with Anstons. All right, so in terms of it's quite incredible when you think of the number of England players that are actually out. As you said before, you've got Woke, Stokes and Folkes, all 3 of them are out. You've got obviously Archer, Wood, then you've got even more players. Sorry,
Broad is out,
of course, as well, and then you've got a number of players that. There's a few more that are out actually too. Ollie Stone, of course, as well.
Ollie Stone, Ollie Pope. Is he back? Ollie Pope, is he fit?
He's back in the squad. I think he's carrying the drinks, but he's back and about. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to get carried away with England's batting performance. You know, I think that David Malan and Hamid look the part. You know, they've got more classical techniques. They're not. I know Burns is a bit quirky, and to be fair, Rory Burns has had a really good summer so far. I know he got a couple of ducks at Lords, but he got runs against New Zealand, which you'd say is probably the hardest bowling attack to face, and he got 180. And he's starting to just grow into a decent Test match opening bat, and it's just finding someone that can sit with him. And if Milan can play well, and maybe going away, he got dropped 3 years ago, but since then he's gone into the one-day stuff, the 2020 stuff, and has scored runs. And
can I quickly say, Harsh Gupta, you keep on saying we're not looking at comments. It really annoys me because every single show, answer almost every question. When we've got a good conversation going between the 3 or 4 of us, that is the way we're going to approach the show. Do not keep telling me that we don't answer questions when this show, out of all shows that are on live, are the only one that does it. So, Harsh Gupta, I'm going to tell you right now, I answer all questions. Stop saying I don't. I don't like negativity because I'll block you. Okay? It's simple. Sorry, I needed to say that. I'm very annoyed by that. All right, go ahead, Chris.
No, I can't remember what I was saying after that scolding. So,
okay. Well, I mean, the reality is that we seem to have we're very lucky to have seen such a talented batting lineup with the likes of Joe Root in the side. But imagine if Joe Root doesn't bat well. What do you think of the English batting lineup? I know today Milan and Hamid have stood up and Burns have stood up. Is there any concerns about the lineup? I mean, today was a different story because they were in a great commanding position all the way along. But the previous 2 tests, you take out Root's scores, England were floundering, weren't they?
Yeah, but you can say that for any side that does well. You take out K. Rahul in the first innings at Lords, India would have got 200. It's easy to say. Take Steve Smith out of Australia for the last 6 years. Take Kohli's batting out of India. Take Williamson out of New Zealand. It's easy to say, but there's a reason why these guys are the best in the world because they score lots of runs. So, and they're always going to do that. So, I mean, there's obviously guys that want to score more runs in that England side, but I think that you can't start saying that without these guys it would be rubbish because you could say that for any side, couldn't you?
But Chris, you feel Butler is a concern?
Yes, but I do. I'm not sure I would pick him. But if you look at his stats, he still averages like 34 in Test cricket, which if you say to most sides, your keeper batting at 7 will average 34, 35. It's not the worst. It's not awful. He does score runs. So I don't disagree. And I would be umming and ahhing. I still like Folkes in there, especially if you've got Bairstow. Yeah. But Butler's record is all right. It's certainly not terrible, is it?
No, it's not. Butler's not going to play the last 2 tests. Is that the word? Because of his impending birth of his child. I think there was some talk about that.
I don't know. No idea.
Okay. Well, he's definitely not going to the either the IPL or the
he's
World
not going
Cup.
or the Ashes. Yeah.
So I
Ashes,
think
is
it's
he
all.
going for the Ashes?
Sorry.
Is he going for the Ashes?
Well, there is some doubt, and there is still that cloud hanging over that tour with the families of the English players either not being allowed to play, not being allowed to come along, or the issue of them being in quarantine all that time. Australia at the moment is in a bit of a mess. Sydney's had over 1,000 cases today, which doesn't sound like many, but it is in the Sydney terms, and I think we're a bit worried about that. And my favourite, Chris, my Rabbitohs are coming third, but I can't watch them play because they moved the entire competition to Queensland.
That's not well. Up the Rabbits. Good luck to the Rabbits.
You know Rabbitohs, don't you? Say Rabbits. No, but they're doing well. They're coming third at this moment in time. But yeah, at the moment, there's some doubt about there's even an element of doubt about having any crowds yet again at the tests in Sydney or in Australia. Unless all the matches are played in Perth, they'll be without crowds. So there's again that issue turning up after last year. But we had a great year. So I mean, we did have a great season last season. It was a great cricket to watch. Yeah, probably John says England deserve to win the match. They certainly do. They'll win by an innings. Well, you'd have to think they'll go close to that. Do you think that? Imagine if Pujara and Rahane stick it out in the next innings and pull up reasonable scores. That again, will that save them from being dropped? It looks as though there's always this conjecture over their selection. Do you think it's warranted, Chris? Would you make changes to the Indian side?
I think you kind of have to, don't you? I don't know. I don't disagree. I do disagree with just changing it around for the sake of it. Rahane got a decent 60 at Lords. Pujara knuckled down, but you know that you can't look at this test. You know, I think the second innings would be key. I think India have to. Let's say India do lose by an innings. Let's say England get a lead of 380 and India get. It's quite a key. If India can get 380, 400, and even if you make England back again and get 20, at least you've put up a fight. If India go out, 120 all out, which could happen, it's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility, then I think that England will walk away with the series. I think that will be quite a big kick in the balls. Agarwal's fit. I saw him; he took a catch at the end, so I imagine they might look to get him in. I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? In a test series against England away, you want to be sticking with your tried and tested players, but it's not like they've had 3 bad games. Pujara and Rahane haven't really scored a run for 100 for a while, have they? So it'll be interesting to see what they do. They're going to have to change the bowling because that tail is too long. As seen, India got lucky at Lords. England were poor, and I'm not taking anything away from it, but Bumrah and Shami are never going to do that ever again. And fair play to him. It was brilliant to see from a cricket perspective, but you can't have Shami at 8 in a test match in England. No way.
No, that's true. Munshi, who's back off, he said, I'm not changing from a 2-1 prediction. That was, of course, India's way. What's your prediction? Again, Chris, and I'll ask Naresh as well.
Yeah, I said before the series, I thought it would be 2-1 or 3-1 to England, I think. We'll have to go back and check. But I still think England will win the series. It depends on the weather. The oval might spin. And if it does, that probably plays into India's hands. But I still think that this England will get on a bit of a ride, hopefully, and might be able to close the series out.
Well,
Norman, I had predicted the same 2-1 in India's favor. I had predicted, but this test would even out everything, and England will move ahead with the psychological advantage. But coming back to the point of the batting lineup for India, yes, changes are required right away, irrespective how the second inning batting is, because consistency is a concern. You can't have a 36 all out and a 78 all out in a span of 9 months. That shows how inconsistent the lineup has been. The positive side is this lineup still has given the series wins to India. But, you take some hard calls, similar to if Ashwin can be kept out. So why not some batsmen, because you need to look ahead. This is a 2-year cycle, Can India continue to have inconsistency? Somewhere some decision has to be made, starting with at least one replacement to get someone who you feel can long term do better. So those hard decisions need to be made now to ensure that the next two test matches we are competitive enough, because otherwise it's just adding too much of a pressure, not only on Pujara and Rane, who we talk about, also on those who are sitting on the bench when they're going to come in and they are expected to right away perform. So I think that call needs to be taken now.
So go on with that and tell me who you should exactly have in there then.
I would start with Pujara first, one replacement for Pujara. And it could be, we have options. We have Mayank Agarwal, who has opened for India. We have Bihari, who was rather in England much before the team landed, though he didn't get big score, but he's there. He adds as an off spinner also. So if you want to add another batsman in the middle to replace anyone, you can still look at that. And Surya Kumar has had a brilliant run back home. Yeah, it would be tough to make a test debut because he hasn't played red ball now since, say, about 2 years, because one COVID impact, and then there's been a lot of white ball he's played. But you need to look at, if you feel he's in form, he's been scoring runs, give it a go.
Yeah,
like David Malan. David Malan was scoring in white ball and he did well today. He just came in and played a test game today. So you need to take some hard decisions on this.
Yeah, it's a hard one, because it's going to be very interesting, because there's so much discussion about the selections, and if one of the big guns like a Pujara or Rahane or that is actually replaced, it's going to be an interesting dynamic. I think once they start to change one of the players of that ilk, they're going to change more than one. That's my thoughts. All right. I'm just watching. There's something that's on here. There's another. I think is it the Vitality Blast, which is going on, Chris?
Yeah, there's 2 quarterfinals tonight and tomorrow. They've already had 2. I think tonight is. I can't think. Playing tomorrow night, but.
Even I think CPL started today. I think one game is done in CPL.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is that, I mean, okay, Vitality Blast is a 2 T20 competition, correct? That's what its format is. The 100, albeit different, is also a form of a T20 version. It's still it's a 100 ball cricket rather than 120. The success of the 100, which seems to have been quite successful in England. I spoke to Jim Maxwell earlier today. He hasn't watched a ball of it. Not that he's against it, but he hasn't had a chance to watch it. He said it's more about the calendar. He said about a comment which is very interesting. He said that, they've paid out millions to these players to play all these different formats. Maybe they need to pay someone millions to try and work out a better scheduling of the matches throughout a year, as he feels that's the biggest problem. Not necessarily the brand of cricket or the type of cricket, but the amount of cricket and the timing, because it was a bit of a mess this year. Even though, COVID's largely the reason for it. But what do you think, guys?
Yeah, they need to look at it. It just seems, unfortunately, that the 100 is where the money is, and one-day cricket, and at the moment that Test cricket seems to be second fiddle. That it's not Test cricket; it's the first-class county game in this country, which is where we're trying to produce batters from. And there's not, you play in April, and I think the last round of them start, end of August. So they need to try and address it and see if there's any way you can get some more consistent county championship cricket being played throughout the season. But I think the 100 is a good thing. I imagine in time that you'll probably find that the T20 Blast and the 100 maybe just sort of merge into one competition, and just something stays. The most stupid thing in this country is that when the 100 was on was when the England held their domestic one-day competition, the 50-over competition, which has been, let's face it, England have dominated that in world cricket for the last 3 or 4 years. Won the World Cup, and we've been by far the best side. And it just seems very strange that in a format that we've dominated, you're basically saying, well, all the best players are going to come out of that and play in the 100. And is that then going to affect England going forward in that format? So they need to look at it. I know COVID at the moment has been a bit sort of up in the air with everything, but they do need to look at it. I think it's been good, the 100. I think from everything, women's cricket it's literally gone through the roof. I think it broke all records in terms of viewing. Yeah, and I think it was pretty well liked. So I'm all for it. It needs to be tweaked a bit with the schedule, as long as the rest of the first class calendar isn't affected. Then yeah, I hope it stays.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with
I
Chris.
look-
It's a huge benefit for women cricket because they're not been playing a lot of cricket compared to what the men do, and that is a huge benefit. But yeah, a call has to be made which of the tournament would actually stay. Is it going to be the T20 Vitality or 100? You can't have all going on in the same period, and probably 100 because it gives you the uniqueness, for ECB to start off something. It's a new initiative. It will give the uniqueness. Obviously, it was to happen last year. It's all because of COVID. Everything got kind of crunched in this calendar year. But going ahead, I don't think multiple tournaments can go on simultaneously because they want to get more overseas players. So that's going to get more and more complex, with CPL and IPL also having the similar kind of the calendar period going on. So that's going to be a bit tough to manage this.
Yeah, it's a real. I think it's an issue, and I'm not knocking the 101 bit, but I think the programs are certainly getting far too packed. And if they start to instigate a T10 competition in the world, which they seem to be doing, God help us, we're going to have a lot of trouble with timing, because it's not just what takes place in England over the summer, it's what takes place in the world at the same time. And look, a lot of people didn't watch. I mean, a lot of people from other countries didn't watch the 100 because it was something. The women's definitely was successful, but the men's, I don't remember much about it at all, and I'm sad about that because I love my cricket. So I'm just concerned about it. Not that it wasn't successful, but I just don't know whether they can have Vitality Blast at full bore and the 100 at full bore and be able to have everybody available. That's my thoughts. Darwin Milan's just gone on and into a press conference. They love having Darwin Milan press conferences, don't they? He was on pre-game. He's now post-game. I mean, today, Joe Root would have been one. I would have liked to have heard, even from the likes of Hamid. He seems to have improved greatly. What did you think of the attitude of the Indians in the field today, guys? I thought they were except for Ishan Sharma, they looked like they were certainly trying their level best. I think they haven't lost their edge just yet.
I think it's easy they looked a bit flat. It's hard to keep up when you're being annihilated. And in India in the winter, when England were getting destroyed, heads went down. It's very easy to do that. Ishan Sharma looks like he's not quite there at the moment, rhythm wise, and they're certainly carrying him a bit. Shami. Siraj is a bit of a breath of fresh air, really. I think it's important. He's having some banter with the crowd yesterday, and it's I think I saw an article somewhere about people complaining about the crowd and chanting and winding him up, and they do that to everyone. The Australians and the South Africans and the Sri Lankans, and they'd all get it as well. They're not picking on anyone. It's just banter. But that's important. You look at Bay 13 at the MCG, and you look at some of the crowds. That's just part of the game. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. It's good to see characters like that, and Siraj certainly is. And yeah, I think in India just need to try and keep the damage minimal for this, and move on to the next test and try and come back into it.
It is interesting though when you talk. Go ahead, Nurse. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So as I said, Norman, in the end, it will still be 1-1, in the series. That's the mindset India needs to take. That yes, we have played badly here. We need to come back right away, because in the first two tests, there were opportunities. The first one was very close. Yeah, we had a completely rained out day. The second one, as Chris said, India came back. Day 1 and day 5 belonged to India, and that was enough to win the game at Lord's. So India needs to take that positivity ahead, that yes, this is a bad phase, but India needs to bat well in the second inning. Very important that they go in with some confidence with the bat, because batting has let them down. The bowlers have been doing phenomenal. So very, very important they bat as much as possible, because we can say the result is known, but it's time that the top 5 get a lot of time out to bat.
Absolutely. I reckon we're going to have to see something big from, and I don't just mean to say their careers, but this is a batting conditions that the Indian batsmen have no excuses in the second innings.
Yes.
Despite
Yes.
the scoreboard pressure, they have got no excuses in the second innings, and they have every chance to bat long, and that's what they should try and plan to do. And I think that's crucial. That's where they need to show us or the world that that they can come back, and I think they will. I can't imagine them not coming back up. That's despite the fact that I'm sure England will win this match. I think India will come back, and it's exciting as you said, Chris. You don't want to see one side win landslide. You want to have a competition, and that's what we're getting, certainly. And I'm sure you want to see England win, but with a great fight from India.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes it is nice to, from a cricket perspective, you would want to see a good fight, but I certainly won't be against the idea that England just bowl India out for 100 again tomorrow. I think that, but I mean that from England's best interest. I think if India do put up a fight, it's good for a neutral. But in terms of being a selfish England fan for the series to win the series, you want India to just be completely and utterly annihilated in this test, and that's what England will want. England aren't going to go out and think, well, it would be nice to see India get 300.
No.
From a neutral point of view, it would be, of course, it'd be great to see a Kohli get 100, but I hope that England can just go out and be ruthless and don't get complacent and really try and sort of put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I just wonder what's going to happen. I mean, it's a day where James Anderson would love to. He seems very hungry for wickets. He really does. I think he realises his time playing in the top level is you argue numbered. And because of that, he knows that every time he gets the ball, he wants to get as many wickets as he can, because he's not so much greedy, but he has a hunger to finish and score and get as many wickets as he can. And I think is that a fair point, Chris, that he shows a level of hunger about his bowling?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously nearly 40. I mean, he's just turned 39, hasn't he? So, I mean, he's not, he's certainly no spring chicken, is he?
No.
But, he's just the ultimate professional, really, isn't he? He's I think it's just a testament to his longevity as much as anything. He's always pretty fit. He doesn't run in and knacker his body. It's he's just fantastic, isn't he? And pretty lucky. I think Michael Vaughan said on commentary, or someone said on commentary, Ian Ward or Mark Butcher it was, and said that really lucky at the moment as a commentator, an England fan, you've probably got the greatest ever English batsman, the greatest ever English bowler playing in the same team and still dominating. So. Yeah, I mean, England aren't the finished article by any side, but it's good to watch when it's going well.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing when you look at the fact that, and I've said this earlier on in my broadcast today, to be able to get a team that previous tests scored 120 and they're all out in the final innings and lose the match, to actually be none for 120 on the first day. What a turnabout that is, quite seriously. Were you I guess I can't say you were shocked, Chris, but were you pleasantly surprised?
I was embarrassed at Lords. I thought that was one of the most disappointing and embarrassing performances I've ever seen from England, and that's saying something because there's been bloody loads of them. It was just disappointing to see. Like we were better. We were the better side in that Test match for most of it at Lords, and we just had 2 or 3 really poor sessions. Looking back, probably coming off a bad light the night before is probably where it cost England. I think if we'd stayed out for another half an hour, the momentum was on, you probably get a couple more quick wickets. That would be a reasonable assumption. But yeah, that's the way it goes, and that's why Test cricket is so good. But it was good to see. I'm just pleased England came back, and especially as Kohli won the toss and decided to bat, which I think it was a decent decision, but it's always at Headingley. It's always an interesting one. So,
so did you say that was a good decision or a bad decision?
I think in hindsight, it's easy to say it was a bad decision, but I think that batting first in England is never a bad thing. Headingley does flatten out a little bit, but you saw today when the sun's out at Headingley, it's pretty easy to bat, but at the end it clouded over a bit and it started doing a little bit, and England just got their lengths right. They bowled. I don't know if you saw the graphic they've been showing about you have to bowl really full at Headingley. I would just say that maybe India just bowled a tad shorter. They bowled a good length in England, but probably not the best length at Headingley. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Look, I thought it was Ishan Sharma was far too short. He bowled horribly short.
Yeah. Yeah.
Siraj looked pretty good, and I thought he bowled well. And Sharma was good in part. Bumrah was accurate, but that's really about it. It's amazing how they've gone from the first two tests where Bumrah took 9 and Siraj took 8, and this time they can't take a wicket. I know the wicket's different now somewhat, but I would have expected them to bowl better line length, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that the length, you can compare the length of what English bowlers were bowling yesterday and what India has bowled. There is a lot of variation in that, and that is what India should have done better yesterday, especially. Because yes, it was just 78, but you need to get the pressure on right away, which India didn't do yesterday. But today was much more disciplined. First session, you can say India did well to get both the openers. But in the end, I think England is too far ahead in the game. That's the most important part. And yes, I agree with Chris. Batting first, probably even if you go to see India batted day 1 at Lords when they were put in, it was a very tough day. It was overcast throughout. But India put up a good total. KL Rahul got 100. So probably that confidence was there that probably India could do well batting first. But it was very poor execution of any plans, whichever was there, because none of the batsmen could do well.
I mean, I said earlier, I still maintain this. The first day, India were flat because they've come from such a high and winning Lords. Sometimes that can actually really put you back and just on your heels and relax a little bit and take the foot off the pedal. That was my thoughts. At least the first day, I think England came out very hard and bowled well, and India were perhaps a bit brewing with a bit of overconfidence, perhaps after their win. What do you think about that, Chris? Do you have that feeling at all? After you've had a big win, the next game can be hard to come back to. Even though
possibly. I don't disagree, but sometimes you just have bad days at the office, don't you? And if we had been sitting there and saying that India, you've got to bear in mind that India won that Test match at Lords because their tail dug them out, not because one of the big guys got runs. So it's just one of those things where it is easy to have a dip after a big win, but it's not like this is something that's new to the Indian team. Their batting hasn't been on form, so they do need to address it. But they're still a great side, and I'm pretty sure someone in that second innings is going to put their hand up and get a score.
All right, okay. Having said that, though, who will be that person? Who do you think will be that person? Who will be the people that will, in your mind, are more likely to do that?
I think Rahane might do it.
Interesting. I think he could be one. I actually think, and having seen the way they batted the first innings, I know that Rohit Sharma's attempted pull shot was very poor. But were you impressed with the way that he survived 3 hours of play?
Yeah, I was, but at the same time, you still got 16 runs, and it's easy enough to bat. Sometimes in Test cricket, it's very easy to survive, but as soon as you start looking to play, Rahane dug in, but at the end of the day, it says 16 and 17 in the book. You're not doing anything for your stats or for your side, just doing that. Ultimately, Rohit Sharma batted 3 hours, but the side got bowled up 70. It's not. It's nothing to write home about. Yeah, he survived 100 balls and he survived, but that's 3 times in series he's now got out playing the hook shot. Is it time to put it away, Rohit?
Okay, so you're suggesting that. Okay, I've got a few more comments about his batting. I think Rohit Sharma overall, though. What do you think of Rohit Sharma, the way he's batted the last 2.5 tests?
Yeah, he's looked good. I mean, he's batted nicely, hasn't he? He's still not got that 100. He's got a massive point to prove with his. He's got by miles the biggest difference in home and away average in Test history. Over 50 run difference. He's got a lot to prove overseas, and I just think that how many innings he had 5 innings now, 3, 5,
yeah,
5
he's
innings.
The second highest run scorer for the year for any country.
Yeah.
Only ahead Rootwell ahead. That's not a bad performance.
No, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying he's had 5 innings now in England. And he's been out hooking 3 times. And in England, for a batsman, if you've nicked off caught behind 4 times, and that's fair enough. But is it maybe that just don't hook it, Rohit? Just put it away. It's not India. It's not slower. It's a bit quicker. It's a bit skiddier. do you need to be playing that shot? Because I think that's the most disappointing thing, is that he's got in 3 times and has set a base and then played a fairly poor shot to get out. If you nick off against Anderson in the first over to a good ball, that's fair enough. But facing a lot of balls and then sticking, playing a poor ball shot is almost more frustrating, isn't it?
True.
Yeah, Norman, KL Rahul, if you see the first 2 test match, KL Rahul probably went for a cover drive after, say, 15, 20 overs into the inning, and after an hour of batting. But this was yesterday was surprising. The 4th ball he faced first over, he was going for the drive. So, but yeah, to your question on who can put the hand up, something similar happened last when India toured. There was a huge total India was chasing. They lost, but it was KL Rahul and Pant who got big hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get 2 or 3 big hundreds, from Indian batters, as I said, the result is known, but at least that confidence going ahead, because it's a long series, 5 test series, 2 more tests to go. KL Rahul could be one of them also, because we just saw one dip yesterday of what he did. Otherwise, he's had a very good series.
It's crucial that India's batting lineup, they have a great opening partnership. That seems to be the key to them so far this series, is their opening partnership. When Rohit and Rahul get a good 80, 100 run stand, it sets the scene. As with England, I mean, they were done for 120. England could have easily lost a couple of wickets last night and been somewhat behind the 8 ball, but they didn't.
Yeah, Norman, and if you see, if this was a 3 test series, you have only Rohit and KL who have done well. We have had 150 from Jadeja and 1 from Rahane. And even them, including them, is below 25 average. These 2 are above 45, So only the openers so far have done. If this was a 3 test series, it's a very poor batting performance. But it's a long series. There is time where they can turn this around and take this inning as that turnaround point. Result again, it's not going in India's favor. But can you bat long, and all of them get a lot of time to bat?
Yeah. It's great to see England do well, and Chris, you must be very happy. Tell me about what's going on. You're involved with your training. Did you have a day off today?
No, I've been working today. I've just done a bit of I just do a little bit of coaching this week. Just some of the local area district guys playing. So under 16s it was this week, but no, it's just busy, and I do like to come on as much as I can, but it's not easy. Obviously, when we first started recording, it was total lockdown here, so I was at home every day and weren't allowed out. But now this is more like real life, so it's just tough to get on. But I will definitely get on as much as I can. I did have an interesting question actually for Naresh and for you, Norman, as well. Did you see that Adil Rashid got picked up by Kings 11 Punjab for the
Punjab Kings? Yeah,
my question is from a political point of view, and I won't go into it too much. How will that have gone down in India, being a Englishman of Pakistani origin? I know that and it's not a race thing. I know that politically it's a interesting topic in India. Is that a good thing, do you think, for cricket? Is it something that they'll love? Or because if you look historically in 13, 14 years of the IPL, there aren't many guys that would have played in the IPL. So is it attitudes changing slightly, or is it because he's English that it's accepted? Or
yeah, but the thing is that all these games are going to be played in UAE, so there's as of now been no reaction, or rather not much attention paid to this. And as you said, yeah, there were international from Pakistan side playing in the IPL for the first, I think only the first year they played, or first 2 years they played. Then it all stopped. But we did have one of the coaches from Pakistan who is now settled in UK. I don't remember. He was Azhar Mahmood. He was part of the IPL support staff. But yeah, this current Adil Rashid coming in for Punjab Kings is too early for any reaction. Plus, the rest of the IPL is in UAE, so I don't think there's be any attention to this.
Perfect.
Go on, Chris.
No, interesting to see that they've replaced a quick bowler with a leg spinner. There should be something in there.
It's about Moeen Ali also, right? He plays for CSK.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah. So I don't see that as an issue at all. Yeah.
That's good.
There's quite a few. I mean, I just saw that Pat Cummins is not going now. He's been
Yeah.
replaced as well.
Tim Saudi they've picked up.
Exactly.
KKR. Yeah.
Look, I'm frustrated with the IPL having to be played in this way. It would have been great if the whole time was done and dusted together earlier this year, because for the IPL's sake, it would be better if that was the case. They only got just under halfway. They got 29 out of their 61 matches done. And it's caused a bit of grief with the scheduling for a lot of people. I mean, I'm glad they've still got it on, but it's caused some selection headaches because there are a lot of people pulling out of the IPL, other players coming in, mind you. But I mean, Riley Meredith and Jai Richardson are out, but they brought in young Nathan Ellis. And I mean, I think those two were out because of form more than anything else, to be really honest with you. I think they're pretty bloody ordinary. But what do you think of the scheduling there, Chris? The IPL having the prioritisation in some cases where the IPL people who play IPL are prioritising over anything else, like the fact that Warner, Saunders, even Steve Smith, Maxwell all didn't go to play against the West Indies or Bangladesh, yet they were playing IPL.
Yeah, it's just I don't know really. Unfortunately for world cricket, there's a lot of money to be made in a very short period of time, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know what the easiest way to go about that is, but I think they just have to. I think in an ideal situation, you'd probably just cancel the IPL, but I imagine that there's a lot of sponsor and TV rights and player money that's already been paid that needs to be fulfilled because they don't get refunded. So I imagine that it's just a money thing because I don't have a clue what it will do to the wickets, the pitches in the UAE before T20 World Cup, and it will be a shame if the T20 World Cup has a negative impact because the wickets are used and not fresh for it. So
yeah, but Chris, I think this concern was there, and that's the reason the qualifiers were moved to Oman. And I think the last week of IPL, that is the playoffs and the eliminators and final, would be in one ground, so that the other two have that you can call the rest for the pitches.
Yeah.
And there is a gap, and that's why if you see the first game actually is in Sharjah. The first day is 24th October. The first game in the afternoon is Sharjah, and then evening game is India-Pakistan in Dubai, because Dubai has the maximum sitting capacity. As of now, they are still of the opinion that 50% would be allowed, but they may just open up. But yeah, the reason of moving the qualifier to Oman was this concern that the wickets would be very tired because of IPL. But Norman, your point is purely because the IPL got suspended halfway, and they had to adjust in this calendar. And I think it's a one-off thing. That's why the players are prioritizing it. It won't be a case every year, and I think the boards will then have to put their foot down of releasing the players for IPL if it is split. It's purely what happened in the first phase.
I'm trying my level best to be able to go to the UAE for the World Cup. Both Debashis and a few others have got me to go there. I'm trying very hard, but for me to get out of Australia is like pulling teeth. I mean, it's not about getting the visa for Dubai. It's getting out of Australia.
In India also, we are every day getting some new protocols from Dubai is separate, Abu Dhabi is separate. So it's not sure whether travel would be permitted for visitors to watch an event. That's the unfortunate. I think a couple of the guys, Norman, are commenting for me. Anuj. Yes, I am also from Pune, NIBM area, so probably you will be familiar to that because there are a couple of guys from Pune asking where I am from. So,
well, you got a lot of Pune fans, so to speak. Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about Pujara on the line. They don't understand why Pujara is there. India will be all out 36 times and 6 for 7. That's pretty crazy comment. This is turning event. The turning event of the series. That's certainly right. Yes, I guess India will win the series. Okay, it's hard to say from this who'll win the series, even though the momentum's clearly in England's favour this match. We just don't know. It could turn around very quickly yet again, as what Chris said earlier about the turning nature of the oval pitch. I mean, Ashwin may come in and take 10 wickets. he might have a lot of a B in his bonnet about not being selected for the first few.
Yeah,
What do you,
yeah.
Chris? If you were Ashwin, would you be upset that you're on the side, or would you be okay about it?
I think you'd be gutted. I think you'd be disappointed, but I do think that India have got it right with one spinner. I think that they've not got the team right or the team balance right with the batting, but I think that I don't think that picking two spinners is right. I mean, look at the series so far. All of India's wickets have been the seamers, so it's not like they've missed two spinners because Jadeja's only taken a couple. So they've got the right combo. It's just that and someone like Ashwin's always going to be disappointed to be left out, but I'm sure he understands that you don't play two spinners in England. So he'll certainly want to come in and take some wickets and prove a point, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I said this before this test. The only reason I would bring in Ashwin for this test, India needs a little variation to get Joe Root out, which has not happened again. So he's got a big score. So that is one thing India should think of, because we have all our right arm seam bowlers. We don't have a left arm seamer like, Sam Curran becomes a variety for England. So and Jadeja is moving the ball away, which is playing to Joe Root's strength, towards backward point or point. So Ashwin should come in now in the next game, just to keep a check on that. And 4 left-handers. I think England will go with the same 11. So 4 left-handers also come into play when Ashwin is bowling.
Actually, I don't think Jadeja's bowled badly to this match, has he? He's got a lot of balls very full that have gone through, and even gone through the batsman and the keeper for that matter. There's been a few.
And the keeper, yeah.
He could have easily gotten Rory Burns last night. Went very close to bowling, didn't he? Chris, what's your thoughts?
No, I agree. I think the fact that England have got so many left-handers would be an appeal. I don't know. I think Jadeja is a better batter and isn't. I don't think they're massively different when it comes to spinners. I think Ashwin's taken more wickets, but I don't think Jadeja's that far behind him as a bowler. I think Jadeja's a very good bowler. They just have a problem with that batting all-rounder, that batting seamer. If you could have a Stokes or even a Hardick in there to bat a 6, we said at the time. I don't think Pant is a number 6 in Test cricket. I don't think that he is good. I don't think he's got the temperament. I think he's a good player, but I think I'd rather see him at 7 and let someone else go in at 6 who can construct and can bat, get their head down, especially in someone like England. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see what India do with their team, but they're definitely missing that sort of bowling all-rounder in there.
Absolutely. Look, I as you did, Chris, and I think Naresh, when we talked about the Ashwin selection and the placement of Jadeja, I think that was the right selection. And for the first 2 test matches, it worked fine, worked a treat. Even today, even this test match so far, time will tell whether in the 4th innings he would have been useful to have. But the reality is that it hasn't really suited him. And they learned from the World Test Championship that they went in with 2 spinners and they lost. And they believe that was one of the major reasons why. So their so-called template is different. I commend India because they've, one, stuck to teams the way they've selected, and secondly, they've been willing to drop good players who are not appropriate for a match. Not drop, but leave out is a better way of putting it, because Ashwin certainly wasn't dropped. He wasn't appropriate for the conditions. That's for sure. All right.
I'm going to have to go in a sec if that's okay.
That's fine, Chris. Come on as much as you can, even if you can come only for 20 minutes here and there, like Munchie does. Don't think you have to stay for a long time if you're unable to due to other commitments. If you've got 20 minutes, especially if you're out and about at the ground with the kids, that'd be fun to have a few words with you and the kids. That'll be great.
Yeah, I might try and get up to the Oval in a couple of weeks for the next test. So if I do, I'll try and do something for sure.
Please do. You missed Chris. A lot of people want you here.
Cool, no worries. And I'll see you soon. And cheers, Naresh. Have a good one. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks. Same here. Thank you.
Cheers, Norman.
There. See ya. Thanks, Naresh, for coming on. Your T-shirt's pretty impressive. What does it say? Never give up. Are you wearing that deliberately because of India? Is that what you're wearing?
Yeah. Because great things take time. Never give up because great things take time. Yeah.
Look, I've noticed the viewers all around India, they're not as prominent as they are when India are winning. I hate to say this, but Indian viewers do watch more the post and pre-match shows when the team's going well, and that's understandable. I'm sure Australians would switch off if Australia were losing. They wouldn't want to be listening to someone say how badly they play. So it's quite a normal trait. But no, but you know Jim, you know of Jim Maxwell, don't you? You know,
yes, I saw a bit of your show because it was going on for long. So I was surprised that the game is already into 1 hour and you're still live. So when I came back, I saw you were talking to him. Yeah.
Well, the only reason why I kept on going, I would have stopped after the game, was when Jim rang me out of the blue and said he was keen to come on. Of course, I'm not going to miss that opportunity. It was great to have him there, and having him there, kind of for ball by ball. We didn't talk ball by ball, but I would have loved to have gone ball. That would have been a bit of a, you know, what's the word for it? A dream of mine to go ball by ball with Jim Maxwell in the commentary. What a man to have. He has covered, I think I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's over 300 tests, if not more. Actually, that's a good start. I want to find that out, because if he's been going since 1973, which is 48, 49 years, he must have seen probably, well, I don't know about, it could well be 10 test matches a year. That's 400 or 500, in fact. Imagine that.
Yeah, and you had only test cricket that time. You know, that time there was only test cricket. Yeah.
Exactly. And the ABC in Australia was it. It showed every sport live. It recorded commentary for every sport live. It was the channel. It was, being a government channel at the time. It's quite remarkable. It's quite an impressive thing to be done, and to have the opportunity at such a young age. He was with some incredible greats of Australia, and Alan McGilvray, who you may not know. He was one of the most remarkable commentators, like a lot of English blokes were. Norman May was another guy who was well regarded, not only in cricket but football and even Olympics. He was great too. All right, Pujara plays county cricket, still unable to play in these conditions. Yeah, Pujara didn't play any county cricket this season because he didn't get there, because he was hanging around the IPL, which was a mistake. It may have been monetarily wise.
He was rewarded for Australia performance by Dhoni to pick him for CSK. But yeah, you know, and that's the thing. You need to give him a break. He is going through a lean patch. Give him a break. You know, it's just adding up a pressure on him. You know, if he's not succeeding, and that's what bench strength is all about. This is the moment you have to use your bench strength. You need to. It's not only about the youngsters getting a chance, even the senior guys being given that space to take a break and just get your thoughts in place, you know. And Pujara and Rahane need that badly.
I agree totally. I mean, again, the way that Rahane and Rohit batted under very difficult circumstances, albeit a 20 or 30 run partnership, I was impressed with that. I thought they were potentially digging India out of their hole there. They didn't get a chance to do that, but I was impressed with them. It's interesting how Hardik Pandya and even Shreyas Iyer and a few of the players, Sky they're saying should be in the side.
Yeah, but you know, Hardik Pandya, I think India needs to now look ahead because it's been more than a year. He is not fit. His fitness is a concern. I think he should focus on the World Cup, because in the end he's going to bowl only 4 overs, and if he's the 6th bowling option, then maybe 2 or 3 overs. But Test cricket for Hardik Pandya, we need to look ahead and you know, just leave that behind. I don't think he can make a Test cricket comeback to bowl long spells or be out in the field for full days. You know, it's unfortunate, but India needs to move ahead from there, and this is the time. That's what I'm saying. It is 2 years cycle. Is this 11 what you want to play for 2 years? I don't think you'll get the results. So you need to start making those 1 or 2 changes right now. And I think Shardul Thakur was the first one to do that in the first test, but unfortunately he got injured for the second. Maybe he's coming back next, because India wanted to keep the same winning combination. That's why the same side went into this test. But probably Shardul Thakur comes back in the next.
See, I think Fahari should be given a go. I think he should be given a go. Or Agarwal, but Agarwal was more in the opening slot. But Fahari needs to be considered, because he's a very resolute type batsman as well, and they should give him a chance. I think. I don't know how they go. Well, we'll just see how this test pans out, but they might do something for the last test. We'll see. It's unfortunate, because my God, only a matter of a week ago we were not even thinking about any change. We were we've become confident about the Indian batting lineup. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're looking at. I mean, I'll try and bring Jim Maxwell. I love Naresh. Next time I'll try and get you on. Jim's going to be on more regularly, I think now. So
Sure.
you've got to come up with his on it to be able to mix it with Jim Maxwell. That is the commentator of commentator. I mean, Harsha Bogle's given a great rap as well, but I think Jim Maxwell's the penultimate, if not the ultimate commentator. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and a real character, absolute character. He actually looks. He's turned 71. He had a stroke and he was quite inhibited, but now he's looking and talking freely again. I think he's, if there's such a thing as fully recovering, I think that's what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that people are reminiscing on Hardik Pandya. He had great potential, but clearly his body's not really there for long form bowling. What is it? Is it a back injury of some sort that he's got?
It's a back, It's a back injury. Yeah. I think it's a back strain. I think it's the bowling. I think when India played in Sri Lanka, those white ball, he did even change the action a bit. I think Rahul Dravid suggested some changes in the bowling action. But it's all about white ball as of now. I don't think he'll be considered for Test cricket till they look at him closely on how long he can bowl.
Yeah, and he hasn't been batting fantastically. His brother was certainly looking pretty good in the short format. I don't know, and he did play a Test match, didn't he, earlier in the year, and didn't do too badly actually.
I don't think Krunal Pandya didn't play a Test match. Left arm bowler. Yeah. No. He played. He made a debut in ODIs against England.
Oh, my apologies. I thought he may have also got a Test berth. No, he didn't. It was in the short form. You're right, but he did well in that series in India anyway.
Yeah, T20 he had started before in T20. ODI's debut he made against England. I think that partnership with KL Rahul, where KL Rahul got 100. But Test cricket he hasn't played. Yeah, so he hasn't played Test.
Okay, so do you? In terms of all-rounders, now we've got spinning all-rounders in Jadeja and Ashwin. And obviously punt is almost a form of all-rounder because of his keeping and batting. Do you think India need another true all-rounder? Is Shardul Thakur that person?
I don't think Shardul will be a lower order bat, a bowler who can bat, and he could be someone who may get you some runs, but it won't be consistent. But you need to start somewhere. You need to start grooming, So that's the current option you have. Akshar Patel is a left-hand spinner, Until Jadeja is fit, Akshar cannot come into the side. He's more for the Indian conditions. But yeah, that is one area of actually getting a Hardik Pandya quality player. India is struggling.
So I mean, again, Washington Sundar is not quite an all-rounder. He certainly is a good batter, but his bowling's probably not that good enough to be a regular.
Yeah.
Jason, they're asking, okay, technical guys, I think it was good decision to bat first, and this pitch looked flat, but our middle order problem was hidden from the win at Lords, and good performance by Indian openers. Yeah, look, I think that's a fair point there, but it is a bit alarming the way they've gone out for 78. That
score. Yeah, it's not acceptable at all. And I think this inning of 78, I would say, is worse than 36 all out. Because that was the first Test match of the series, pink ball overseas for the first time. India was ahead in that game. India had taken a first inning lead, and then that 1 hour of that fiasco of all out. But this, after a big Lord's win, coming back and having this kind of an inning, I think this can hurt more than the 36 all out.
Here's a question about Deepak Chahar. Now, would you classify him to be an all-rounder?
Yeah, he's done well in white ball. He's definitely there for the World Cup squad, but we haven't ever tried him in the red ball. India has always played him in white ball and more in T20. For the Sri Lanka tour, he played ODIs. I think one game he got a win for India single-handedly along with Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. But he could be a very good option. And that's the thing India needs to do after this series, get back and go back to the drawing board on how and who should focus on red ball. This county stints, domestic red ball. It's very important to get into that, to see how they want to approach Test cricket to keep the standards high. We cannot select a Test team on white ball performance. So that needs to be taken care. You to look ahead. If you to look ahead of Pujara and Rane, who next? You have to look ahead of Ashwin and Ishant. Who next? Ashwin, still you can call him the best off spinner, probably in the world, the best off spinner in India. But do we have a replacement ready for him? Washington Sundar, not yet ready. He's played a lot of white ball. He's not played much red ball. So there's a lot of going back on the drawing board to be done for keeping Test cricket standard very high in India.
It's a great point. I think I would only hope that India have got that plan in place. I'm sure they have. They've got to start to strategize, because they certainly have got they've got things pretty much right in the short form. They seem to have a plethora of players there that not really a worry. But test-wise, have they groomed the right people? Are they some of those short form cricketers maybe better suited to long form? We don't know that. I mean, we're not seeing enough. Like Ishan Sharma, for example, is he a potential Test player? I don't know. I mean, we've got to work out where he sits. Is he just going to be a short form player? You're right. They've got to start to get some specialists. Fahari is the one that I think probably deserves a chance to fall into the place of Pujara, if that's what they're going to do, or Agarwal. They're the two that have to be given.
No, he was the only one from this squad who wasn't part of the IPL. He landed into England much before the team. He played a couple of games. He didn't score. That's the only difference. He didn't score, but he was there early. And I agree, he should be the one who should be given a go-ahead now for the next test, whether it's number 3 or number 5. But Vihari should come get into the side now.
Because it might actually stir the Pujaras up to. It might help him by going out of it for a few test matches and forcing his way back in. That may be a key, unless Fahari, of course, takes the opportunity like Rahul did. Now, Rahul's done a magnificent job in grabbing it early on. He got out cheaply yesterday, but he could easily have not nicked it and batted on. It's amazing how key that opening partnership is. Rahul and Rohit, if they can survive, and Anderson onslaught in the second innings, and for that matter, even Robinson or Overton onslaught early on, that's where we get up to a 50-100-run opening partnership. It's going to make things a lot better for Indian batsmen in their recovery in this test, for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I agree with this point which you have displayed here, Rohit Sharma. Yes, how much Rohit Sharma has curbed his natural instinct playing Test cricket now in these days. But unfortunately, he's getting out to the shot which he loves the best. But yeah, there has been massive difference in him opening overseas. He did well in Australia. 2 tests he played. Whatever little bit he could get a better start, he did well with Gill. And here he's done very well. And here, what has benefited that KL Rahul is a senior guy in the side. He hasn't played the Test cricket for last 3 years, but he's a senior. For Australia white ball, he was deputy to Virat Kohli. So what has happened is it has made Rohit, little more free in the way he wants to play, because KL Rahul is a senior guy. With Gill and Mayank Agarwal, Rohit Sharma is more like a senior guy who's guiding them. But here, that is not the requirement, and that is why you see both of them doing well as openers. So
that was a good decision to put him in. It was a very, very good decision. It was a good selection. And if I look at just a quick look at Rahul for a minute. I was going to look at him a minute ago. His he's not a lightweight. He's not a lightweight. He's 29 years of age. He has played 30 odd tests. It's not like he's played no tests, and he has scored 6 test centuries. So he's no mug at all. And surprisingly, he's only played 38 ODIs and 49 T20 internationals. I thought he would have played more of those for some reason, but his test cricket certainly has been quite reasonable. He scored 2,250 runs. He's not to be taken lightly. He's a quality player.
He came in as an opener. He was opener for his domestic side, and he scored big as an opener. He came in as an opener.
Yeah, I mean, his batting average is a little bit low in Test cricket. 36 it's not right up there, but it certainly isn't bad. 6 centuries and 12 50s. That's not a bad average. That's what, 18, almost half of his matches he scored a 50 or 100. That's a pretty good stat. I don't think that's a bad stat at all. So I'll take my hat off to him. I think they've found their answers to an opening batter, and I'm glad about that. Do you think Shikhar Dhawan's going to play a role? He's not going to play Test cricket again, I don't think. But will he be in the World Cup?
What has happened is only 15-member squad is allowed. That's what's come out. So that's
and reserves.
Yeah, and reserves. But yeah, you need to name the 15-member squad. So with Rohit, Virat, if Virat is going ahead with his plan of opening, KL Rahul becomes an alternate opener. I think it will be a toss-up between Ishan Kishan and Shikhar Dhawan for a left-hander to open, which will be a backup. So we'll have to see. Shikhar Dhawan, he's done well. It's not that he hasn't, especially ICC events, he's been doing very well. But T20, if the thought process is that you need to look at someone with who is more younger and more aggressive, then it could be Ishan Kishan. But they'll be backup. Either of them will be backup. I don't think they'll be right away in the 11. I think Rohit and Virat would start up. And the first game is against Pakistan. You need to play the best.
So the very first T20 World Cup match for India is against Pakistan.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great theatre, isn't it? It's great theatre. It really is.
Yeah.
I truly don't think that cricket lovers of both Pakistan and India, they get along. I reckon they deep down
They get along. Yeah, there's so many in UAE, the expat community. They get along. They play so much of domestic cricket there together, or leisure cricket in the UAE. It's even in Oman and other Gulf countries. They are actually carrying the cricketing culture there.
Yeah, I just wish, and this is just my naivety, that politics aside, that those two great nations could have a lot more. I wish that, because in Pakistan do not travel to India to play Test cricket at the moment. Is that right? Because the last time I was there was 07, 08 was the last time I saw.
Yes, that was last. Any kind of cricketing ties ended in 2007-08. But 2011 World Cup, which was hosted by India, the quarterfinals was India-Pakistan in Mohali. Pakistan travelled to India. Or rather, they participated in the World Cup in India.
Yeah, so, okay. It's a pity we can't. What would it take for that to be re-established? What would it take, I wonder?
It's as you said, it's politics and diplomacy that needs to be put in place for cricket. But yeah, even 2016 T20 World Cup was hosted in India. So ICC events, they are participating. 2019, there was a bit of a glitch before the World Cup in UK. There was some high tensions flowing where India probably took it up that they will not play the game against Pakistan. But yes, it's an ICC event. So India was to lose the points, and then things settled down and they went on to play at Old Trafford. But yeah, it's diplomacy. I don't know how this aspect of sports can be managed between these two teams.
Yeah.
Or neutral venues. World Test Championship. What if India Pakistan reach the final? Neutral venue.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah. That would be amazing. Would be amazing. It'll be well watched. That would be for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to the IPL. I'm looking forward to the World Cup and beyond. And the rest will have a lot to do. I'm going to have a lot of IPL. So as you know, I'll have it on extra time as well. But I'll have it with this group, and really enjoyed that. All right, we might finish up.
Satvik for correcting me. It was semi-final India Pakistan at Mohali. I think Australia was quarter-final. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, we might end it there.
Sure.
I think that it's been a great day for England. Let's hope India can get their batting together. It'd be great to see Kohli and Pujara put on big centuries.
Yeah, get a big score. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Let's leave the result out. Just ensure the top 5 batters get a good time out. They get big scores. Like England, the first top 4 got big scores. Can India repeat that? You should look at that way. Yeah.
Actually, this could be a great day for India to bat. Why? Because the pressure's off a little bit. They're expecting to lose. No one's expecting them to win. So that should put a little bit of pressure off them. The expectations are low. Then there's not a pressure for them to win as much. Of course, they they're wanting to win. But I think that could release a bit of tension. They may be freer with their batting on a good batting track. You never know.
Yeah, yeah. And they need to look ahead. Two more tests, very critical. It's just going to be 1-1 in the series. So why not take this off? And third day, probably in any test match, is expected to be a good day to bat on. So bat the entire day. That's very important. Bat the entire day.
Oh, absolutely. Just take the time, let balls go, frustrate the England bowlers as much as you can. Really. Amarish Singh has said it's becoming harder, not easier to play with Pakistan considering the politics. BCI doesn't want PCB to benefit from playing in India. Oh, that's a pity. It really is a pity. Tim Southey coming in for Cummins. We talked to Colgan. What are your thoughts on Naresh Norman? Please answer. Well, Tim Southey is a worthy replacement for Pat Cummins, for sure.
He played RCB. I think Tim Southey represented RCB, but was not a regular there. Whereas Pat Cummins became a very regular bowling attack for KKR. So it will be very interesting to see how Tim Southey is utilized by KKR, because KKR also kept Ferguson out. So who will they pick between these two to play in the first 11? That's going to be interesting. But yeah, Pat Cummins, if you remember that inning, the last game they played in Mumbai, he and Russell.
They whacked the hell out.
Yeah. So and the batting has struggled. KKR batting has struggled with Morgan not in form. So it will be interesting whether they go for Ferguson or Southey, who would be a better bat for them besides the bowling.
And Brendan McCullum's the coach.
McCullum is the coach. They have had a good start today, I think, in CPL. He's part of the Trinidad Knight Riders, also the same ownership. But yeah, what they're doing is whoever was in the pool not picked in the auction, that's the only choice they have to pick the replacements. That's what I'm saying. It's been such an unfortunate year for cricket with the IPL suspension, and then now a lot of players opting out also. They have to get replacements. They just want to keep the same number of overseas replacements. I think that's what's happening currently.
There's always a comment about the Taliban's and Rashid Khan. Look, I don't think there is any update that we can give you.
Yeah.
It's going to be, is there any? This can't be true. Harsh Gupta coming. Afghanistan renamed Taliban. I don't think so.
No, nothing has happened yet, and even the Paralympics, they continue to represent as Afghanistan in the flag. Rashid Khan continues to play, I think, in Vitality T20, and officially Afghanistan team would be represented in the World Cup T20. That's the last news we have here. There's no change in that. Yeah, but you feel bad for what's happening there, and the players, need to be sensitive of their sentiment about their country. Yeah.
But are they seriously going to change the naming of the country from Afghanistan to
Well, that would be one of the plans. The name change also, the flag change, name change.
Wow, that's quite incredible. It's quite a dramatic situation, isn't it? It really is. That's quite a significant overhaul. I still can't comprehend what's going on there. I really can't at all. Yeah. It's beyond me. But anyway. Himanshu Chowdhury, who's a regular on the show, said, I told you before the start of play today was a long, long day for Indian bowlers. It certainly was. But, I saw Mohammad Siraj had that upper thigh injury, or at least tightness, maybe just cramping. But, yeah, they've had a day that they would rather not have. They need to mop up the tails tomorrow and then get a long batting session happening for the Indian batsmen.
But it was not as sunny as yesterday. It was overcast most of the day. So yes, Indian bowlers were out the entire day, but I don't think it would have been too much of tiredness on them. But yeah, bowling like Bumrah bowled a long spell too. He bowled a lot of overs.
Yeah, that was a bit of a worry. I would have to argue it's a bit of a worry because he's like Mark Wood. He can have an injury very easily and very quickly, unfortunately.
Yeah, and as you said, Ishan Sharma was not good enough today and even yesterday. Then the pressure comes on Shami, Bumrah and Siraj and how they are rotated. And that's why Jadeja was also used a lot today. But even the pitch required Jadeja to bowl today, and that's why he had longer spells.
Oh, look, there's no doubt that Ishan Sharma is not going to play the next match. I think it won't be based on injury; it'll be based on form. I think they need to change him. I think he looks particularly not at his best. There's something not right. I think, and he won't last the 5 tests, that's for sure. I think he's a certain situation there that's not good. Okay. Is Ishan? All right, Naresh, thanks for coming today.
Okay,
I appreciate it big
thanks,
time.
Thanks, Norman. Thank you. Thanks, Norman.
Thanks always. It's
Bye-bye.
always great to have
Good night,
Naresh
everyone.
Maskani on. He's a great commentator. And what's your channel again?
My audio podcast is Made in 100 with NNN. It's on Spotify. It's more in Hindi. So for Indian audience, it is Jio, Savan, and Ghana apps. These are the apps like Spotify. They're music apps, but they have started podcasts also. So we host it on their platform. So it's more in Hindi.
Well, Naresh, put it in the messages and post
I'll do
the
that.
video. Okay, please do that. The link.
I'll do that.
Thanks, Naresh.
Thanks, Norman. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was great from Naresh Maskani. We had, of course, Chris Vernon there for a period as well, and obviously Munchie was there as well. So we've had a good session. I think I might look at the situation now that we might actually have an early night. Well, it's actually 5 in the morning here in Australia, so I think it's also 12:30 in India, and it's around the 8 p.m. mark in another parts of the world, namely England. So thanks again for your time today, guys. Please, if you wouldn't mind sharing this particular link and liking the posts, also viewing all the other posts, and also making sure that you are subscribed if you haven't already, it would be appreciated greatly. And please hit the notification button as well. So thanks. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button. Thanks for your time, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow for both the pre-show and post-show.